Hey, Troy here with Lithogen with a quick preview of the Spidar system set up in ice profiling mode. This is a little bit different than the ice mapper, but it has a lot of the same components. So it should be familiar to those that have used the ice map before. There are also some components here that are going to be familiar to those that have used Spidar systems before. And we're just going to go through everything one at a time. For starters, this system comes in a toboggan. The toboggan will probably be disassembled for shipping, but putting it together is going to be fairly straightforward. Just quickly go over some components here in the toboggan. There's a couple still in boxes that we'll leave in boxes for shipping. There is a tarp. It's kind of got an elastic around the edge of it. It's kind of like a fitted sheet that will snap around the edge of the toboggan. That'll keep the snow out of the toboggan while you're surveying. Aside from the GPR equipment that goes in the toboggan, I generally recommend against putting any other items in the toboggan, such as tools or lunch boxes or anything like that. You want to avoid generally adding any metal to the box, as it can actually cause some extra GPR reflections and various strangeness. So don't put a metal sheet over top of it, don't put any metal in there, no ice augers, anything like that. And when it's fully assembled, you can put the cover on top of it. And we're just going to leave it off for this demonstration so everything is visible. Additionally, there's a metal hitch for this system that goes into the toboggan. There are a couple of releasable hitch pins in there, and once the hitch is assembled, you'll need probably a socket set to assemble it the first time. After that, to attach it to here, you just put the hitch in through here and feed the hitch pins through, so that it should be fairly rapid to assemble and disassemble in the field. This board here comes off with only finger tightened right now. Just standard 1/4-inch bolts, and there's a nylon locking nut there, nylock. Again, a socket set is useful for tightening these up. You could finger tighten them, but you're probably going to lose the nuts while you're surveying. Next is the Spidar itself. Just got these. It actually is mounted to the board with, again, some 1/4-inch bolts. They just get fed through these holes here. And it'll come with the bolts and nuts that you need to assemble everything. So once that's attached, it'll be quite secure. The GPS here is only attached with a thumb screw at the bottom. Just a thumb screw. If for some reason you lose this thumb screw, you'll note that it's also just a 1/4-inch bolt. It's just a thumb screw for convenience because the GPS needs to be disconnected every night. The GPS has its own power button at the front, and there's a bunch of indicator lights that will light up to tell you how it's going. There is a short serial cable that goes from the GPS to the Spidar system. I'm just going to move the camera so you can see that. There is this cable here, and it just mounts to the bottom of the GPS. That's just a standard serial cable. There's nothing unusual about it. It probably came from Amazon. The next cable is, there's a short cable here that goes from the Spidar unit to the Noggin. And this cable, we're going to send you a spare just in case something happens to it, but it's like a $2,000 cable. Please be gentle on it. There are two connectors here on this Spidar because in theory you could have two different Noggin antennas attached to this at the same time. However, we're only going to be using one of them. It may be prudent to cover the other connector with some electrical tape just to keep water from getting in there. On the front of the system, there are a number of plugs and connectors. The only one we're going to be using is the power connector. I'm also sending a spare power cable that is going to have a different plug on it. It actually will go in here. Whatever connectors you're not using, again, just put some electrical tape on them to keep the moisture out. They don't have the nice plugs like the covers like these ones. Moving over to this side, you'll see there's a screen on this side. This is actually a Wi-Fi antenna. It's a little bit floppy. It's probably going to spend most of its time pointing downwards because you're going to have the covering over top of this. There's a power button here. You push and hold to turn it on, push and hold to turn it off. It will take probably about 30 seconds to turn on and 10 seconds to turn off. The system will tolerate the battery dying, so that's okay. Moving on to the other side here. The Noggin unit is just strapped down. There are just some D-rings here at the bottom, which half of a ratchet strap goes into. That ratchet strap is fed through the Noggin here, just over the surface where these pins are. Right here. You'll notice that there is a rubber mat on the bottom, and that's just sort of a shock absorber as well as a sort of slip preventer. In this system here, because the battery is going in the cart with the Noggin, I have the ratchet strap going through the handle of one of the batteries. It also sits on the rubber mat, and that just to keep it from bouncing around as you're surveying. So that's basically the hardware setup. Assuming everything is turned on, and you'll notice that things are turned on by having GPS lights that are friendly here, and the screen will be reporting an IP address if it's turned on correctly here. All right. So this is our data logger, and this might actually be hard to film, so we're going to find out how well that works. Right now I have the Pulse Echo Project license key attached. You will need this to do data processing, but you don't need this to do data collection. So we're going to take it out for now. And there's a Wi-Fi hotspot created by the device that says Noggin500, etc. And we will connect to that one. If for some reason Windows forgets the password, or you want to connect to it from another device, the password is the same as the Wi-Fi hotspot name. Just type it in a second time. It's going to check network requirements for a while because it's trying to connect to the internet, and we'll discover that you can't actually connect to the internet because it only has one connection to it, and that's the Noggin itself. Yeah, it is insecure, we know. All right, so we fire up a web browser. This device only has Microsoft Edge installed, but you could use any web browser on any device to do the data monitoring. To get to the device, you enter in the IP address that it says on the screen down below. So this, I've been here before, so it remembers. And here is the welcome screen. Now I have it pre-configured for ICE profiling at 500 megahertz. It gives you an indication of the battery level. That's the charge on the battery on the device. There's a couple of other things you can do here, like project management. we're gonna delete this project, yes, so that we can create a fresh one here for our demo. All right, so we have a new project. Let's go system configuration. Here you can see we've already set up the ICE profiling 500 megahertz, but if you wanted to, you can go through here and you can confirm we don't have a noggin on the second connection. You can change some GPR settings here, like the number of stacks, the sampling window. For 80 nanoseconds is pretty good. That's about 6 meters in ICE. You could lower that maybe. GPS is going to be set to external. We got lots of satellites here, even though we're in my workshop. 20 satellites. Triggers, we're going to go in free run, and we're going to set that free run interval as low as possible. And that's going to help with, I guess, data density as you're surveying. So with that done, you can go to line scan. Here there's a couple of things you can do. Generally, you create one project for the whole site, and you name each line according to what lake you're on, or what road segment you're on, or whatever, right? So we're just going to call this line 1 in the garage, hit start. You can see we have full GPS signal. And there we go. It started collecting data in, well, it's not moving, so it's collecting the same line over and over again, but it's actually streaming the data in. Now, you don't actually require this tablet after you've hit start. You don't require the tablet. The tablet's just helping you visualize the data in real time, but you could actually turn the tablet off. You could continue to survey with the tablet off. You could even use your phone if you wanted to monitor it. Any other device that you have a Wi-Fi capability in a web browser would work. When you're done, you have to go into this website again and hit stop. And now it's automatically incremented this to line 2, so we finished line 1. If we went into project management, we would see the test project we just created. Line 1, channel 1 is there. If we want to now, we can do some data processing, and so let's do that. We hit the download button. It downloads the file. We're going to go, just click on open file. It automatically opens Echo project. Now here's where it's going to say we require the hardware key. And I just tossed it on the table and it fell in the trash, so I might have to pause the video to dig the key out of my trash bag. You shouldn't do that in the field. That key is worth about $10,000. Okay, 1 second. Got it. All right. So hardware key goes in. It'll pop up a window when it logs in. Let's hit retry. And now here goes Echo project. It told me it has been updated and needs to restart. Okay, well, let's go to our downloads folder. Test.gpz is there. Open it a second time. Echo project sometimes takes a little bit of time to open. We're just going to be patient. Alright, opening this up. Let's go window, tile vertically. You can see the data we just collected. The GPS drifted like, I don't know, 4 centimeters while we were collecting that data, so this is kind of a useless GPS path here. But when you're surveying on the lake, you'll see your nice GPS path there. The only thing we're really using Echo Project for is exporting the data, and you can select the lines you want to export. Go File, Export. No. The thumbs I've used are too large. Line data. And it'll ask you where you want to export it. I typically recommend putting it in the Documents folder so you can find it. Yes, overwrite this file. Okay, it'll pop up your Documents folder. We're actually done with Echo Project. We can remove this. It didn't fall in the trash this time. And we can go into line set, and you'll see that there are a couple of files in here with the extension GP2. Let us get rid of these because these are from a previous test. So these are the files that you will have downloaded and then exported. If you see the GP2 file, just double click on it. It runs a little conversion routine, and you can close that. And now it created a GPS file. Now the data processing is going to be identical to the other video that I have, which is hopefully in better focus than this one. And that's all for the day. Okay, bye.